Hello, everybody. Welcome to the East Coast West Coast podcast. I'm your host, Caden West, along with my co host, Matt Frieda. We talk all things basketball, mostly about my Warriors winning and about his Knicks losing. So stay tuned, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our social medias. I'm going to have them in the description below.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the second, but technically the third edition of the East Coast West Coast podcast, where we talk all things National Basketball Association, the league. I'm Matt Frieda, and here I have Caden West, hence the name East Coast West Coast podcast. Welcome. How's it going, everybody? We got a lot of topics to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors and all the injuries they're battling and their future here as the playoffs come. We're going to talk about the return of Paul George to the Clippers. Can the Lakers make it into the play-in game? And a few other topics that we're going to mix in there as well. First of all, Caden, how you doing today? Everything good?
I could be better. My Warriors could be winning, but they're not. But it's okay. It's a brand new day. We'll try and get it back tomorrow, but I'm happy to be here.
I love the attitude. Brand new day, take it day by day, step by step. That's
Exactly
what it's all about. Well, I'm glad you brought it up. That's going to be what we're going to start with, and that is the Golden State Warriors. So the Warriors are now on a 4-game losing streak, obviously battling some injuries right now. Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all have been in and out of the lineup. We know that they're not playing back-to-back games, a few of those guys. So it's been a bit of a stumble here toward the end of the season. Like I said, 4-game losing streak. They're currently 4th in the Western Conference. They're just 2 games up on the Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets. So there's a real possibility that the Warriors could go into this Western Conference playoffs as the 6th seed, depending on how things go. They do have a bit of a softer schedule to end the season. They do have the Jazz, which is a huge game for them to win, of course, with the standing so close. But then they're going to finish the season with the Kings, Lakers, Spurs, and Pelicans, which all could be winnable games depending on the health of the team. But Caden, as a Warriors fan, tell me, what are your feelings on the team right now? Talk to me about the injuries. What are you feeling now as we get to the last 5 games here of the regular season?
Well, I thought you summed up our schedule well. There are definitely games that we could win. I think we've gotten over the tough games so far. We played Phoenix. We played Miami. That was a great win. But then we've lost some games where it's like, I don't know what we're doing. We lose to Orlando. We should not be losing to Orlando. Draymond said it the best. We're one of the worst teams. And I think when you watch the games, number one, our defense is not that good. And then our offense gets kind of stagnant. We start turning the ball over, and we don't really have. And I would say without Steph, we're probably a 500 team. But that last game against Phoenix, we don't have that offensive firepower that pushes us over the edge, which is Steph Curry. But I think watching last game, and something I have been telling my friends and telling everyone, I want to be the 4th seed. I want to be the 5th seed because I will take playing against Denver. I'll take playing against Utah or Dallas. But in that next series, I want to play against Phoenix. I don't care about their record. I don't care about how good they are. I think the Warriors match up better with Phoenix than they do Memphis. I think it's one of those 90s situations where you have the Rockets, Suns, and Sonics, where the Suns beat the Sonics beat the Rockets, and the Rockets beat the Suns. That's just how it is with matchups. And I think looking at the Suns, we play them better than we do Memphis. Memphis kicks our butt. They're much better at the power forward and center position than Phoenix is, and their defense is much better than Phoenix. So I think if we can get to the 4th or 5th seed, get Steph Curry back, I think that we have a great shot at making it to the Western Conference Finals. I think the first round is really just going to be like trying to stall and trying to get back to where we were. That for those first 2 weeks, I think we can get past the first round, but that first round is going to be a time where we're trying to get back to where we were. So when we play Phoenix, I think that we'll be in a good spot. If we beat them, that gives us enough time from April to probably the second week of May. That gives us enough time to get ready for if we play Memphis, if we play Denver, if we play a team like that, where if we would play them in the first round, we're probably going to lose. So as long as we can get to the 4th or 5th seed and we're healthy, I feel really confident about this team. I know Wiseman's out. That's a big hit, but we haven't had Wiseman all year. And at the beginning of the year, we were really good. So I think I think if we get Steph Curry back and we're healthy, everyone's good. And that I think we're gonna win the finals.
Yeah, here's the thing, and you referenced it, the timeline and chronological order of how this is all going to go. And unfortunately for the Warriors, time is not really a luxury for the team right now. And specifically, I'm looking at Klay Thompson as he gets reacclimated, not just to playing at an NBA level, but to playing with pretty much a new team. Like Klay Thompson has not played in 2.5 years. He's been good. He's been bad. He's been, let's call it what it is, inconsistent. 37 against Atlanta. Then he had a 25-point game against the who was it? Was it the Hawks again? I think he scored 25. And then after that, against the Suns, just 13 points, was 5 for 21 in that game. And he's trying to basically learn how to play with a new team. The David Wests are gone. The Andre Iguodala's are gone. The Sean Livingston, it's like a whole new team for him to learn to get to play with and get adjusted to. So how much of this struggle right now do you attribute to Klay Thompson and trying to just get used to playing with this new team and used to just playing at the level that, we all became accustomed to him playing at?
I think there's a couple things with Klay Thompson. I think number one, when he was out for 2.5 years, I think that the image that people have of Klay Thompson is someone who comes in and scores 20, 25 a night and is just really good every game. And I think that's something that he started to think as well. But if you look back at 19, 18, 17, those years, he was inconsistent for a good part of the season. He would be off, he'd be on, he'd be streaky, he'd be really cold. That was just the way he is. But I think the difference between now and then is he's forcing it now. He'll chuck up a shot with just getting the ball with a second, and he's 30 feet away. And he just doesn't have a rhythm. And I know he hasn't played for a long time, and I understand that, but I think he just needs to take a step back and say, look, I'm going to take a shot that I feel comfortable with. But if I don't feel comfortable, I'm going to give it off to Poole, who's hot. I'm going to give it to Draymond, who is our point forward, and he's going to orchestrate the offense. I think Klay needs to take a back seat with things like that. But I think I'm confident that he's going to get it. I think it's just a gamble because you're going into the playoffs and you think that first round is going to buy you time to get better. And then the second round as well. Whereas that first round, they could easily get eliminated. Like Denver is no joke. Utah is no joke. But right. I think that we just need everyone to be playing well, especially Steph. If Steph comes out, he needs to play well. Klay does not need to play well. If Klay scores 10 points, we could still win because we're going to have guys like Poole, guys like Wiggins, who are going to be carrying the rest of, the offensive tasks on the team. But Klay just needs to get back to where he was mentally. I think physically he's back, but just when he needs to take a shot, when he needs to pass the ball, I think that's where he needs to try and get back to where he was, because that's what's hurting the team most is his shot selection.
Yeah, you know what? And I just think it's a different team because those guys I referenced, a lot of them were pass first, the David West and, Sean Livingston obviously was the mid-range king, but, these guys deferred to Klay Thompson. And now these guys, Poole and with Wiggins, they haven't really played with Klay Thompson over these last 2 years or so, at least in Wiggins' case, he's been with you guys for now 2 years at least, right? So I don't know if they're really used to playing with Klay Thompson, who's like that catch and shoot guy. You get him the ball in an open space and he's going to knock down his jumpers. Now it feels almost like you said, like Klay Thompson's kind of forcing it and pressing the issue as opposed to letting the game come to him. So it's kind of scary prospect to only have now 5 of games of the regular season left before you're entering the gauntlet that is the Western Conference for these playoffs. So not a lot of time to figure it out, but if there is a team that will and can, it would be this team. They just need to get healthy. So what are you thinking in terms of health for these guys? Like, do you think they're going to be at full strength by the time the first round comes around, or do you think they're going to have to wait until the, second round to have their full squad and firing on all cylinders? What do you think?
I think this is just going to be 2016 all over again. We didn't have Steph those first couple games when we played against Houston in 2016, and I think that's going to be the same way it is this year. If we play against Utah or Dallas, I think that we can maybe get past not having Steph. But I think as far as everyone else, I think we'll be fine. Gary Payton's back. Iguodala made his return this past week. And I think that we just, at this point, we just need Steph. That's the only guy we're missing. And that's a place that we haven't really been in this whole year, where we're just missing one guy. You know, we had Iguodala go out for a little bit. Draymond went out obviously for like 2 to 3 months, and then Gary Payton had his little 2-week injury. So at this point, everyone's coming back, and we just need Steph. That's it. You're just kind of at that point where like you're at the end of the tunnel. You can see it, and you know that, you know, the championship's there, but you just got to get there, and you just got to play well. And that's how I feel with the Warriors. You know, you can't use we don't have Steph as an excuse. I think it's a reason why they're losing, but they are playing bad at the same time. You know, they beat Miami and they played well. When they played Phoenix, they lost by 4, but they still played well up to the last 5 minutes. So I think as long as they can play together, not turn the ball over, play well on defense, and then just make good shot selections, I think that we could really get out of this first round and allow Steph to come back and get ready when we play what's looking like we're going to be playing Phoenix. So I think we'll be fine health wise, but it's just we got to focus on this first round, get out scot free, you know, not have any issues, and then I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, got to get back to fundamental basketball. And Steph, we know he's the straw that stirs the drink, as they say. You know, I mean, you don't have Steph, it's going to be tough, especially come playoff time. Right now, you could live without him as long as the team was playing well and, like I said, fundamental and playing defense and all that. But come playoff time, you know, you got to have that. And you also got to have a superstar like Steph Curry, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out. But obviously, best case scenario, they can win at least, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these last 5 games. They should, in my opinion, win at least 3, probably 4 of these last 5 games that I mentioned. And that's really going to ultimately, for me, determine how far they go in the playoffs based on their seeding. You know, we talked a little bit last time about Utah and about Denver and how we're not like super crazy about them come playoff time because, yeah, Jokic is nice. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell is nice. But I don't know if they're guys that are going to carry them in a playoff series necessarily the way that Steph Curry can and the way that Klay Thompson in his prime could. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I'm going to defer to you now. What do we got coming up next here now on the docket?
Yeah, so speaking about the playoffs, we're going to be going into who will get the first seed in the East. I mean, it seems every single week I hear, oh, this team has the first seed, and then a game later they're now the 4th seed. You know, that's just the way it is in the Eastern Conference right now. It's a dogfight. But at the moment, Miami is number 1. They have a half game lead over Milwaukee. And I think with the teams bouncing back and forth, you know, we got Miami, we've had Milwaukee, we've had the Sixers for a little bit. The Celtics have gotten hot. Chicago's kind of dropped, but at, you know, a point in time, they were number 1. I think watching these past games and then doing our NBA picks, if you haven't checked those out, check them out. Instagram, TikTok, I put them on every day. But I think a constant theme, and it definitely happened yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't pick them. Matt did, but I think Milwaukee is going to be the number 1 seed. I think they're the defending champs for a reason. You know, they have great defense. I think they have good bench depth. Giannis is amazing, probably the best player in the world right now. And I think I'm not a big believer in Miami. I'm really not. I'm not a big believer in Boston, especially after Robert Williams has been, you know, taken out with his torn meniscus. Philly, I was a believer, not anymore. They just have been disappointing for me, and same with Chicago. So I think Milwaukee's going to run away with it. Will they win the championship or will they get to the finals? I don't know. But I think that they're going to run away with the first seed. What do you think about that?
I'm going to go with Milwaukee too. And it's probably the easy, safe pick to make, but just looking at the schedule for the other teams, it just doesn't seem like other teams. The Bucks seem to have the most favorable schedule here down the stretch. First of all, I'll just give a shout out to Boston, who was like the 11th seed, like 2-3 months ago, something like that. They were the first seed about 3 days ago. Now they've fallen to the 3rd, but regardless, they're only 2 games back. They have a tough schedule. Boston's got, you know, not terrible with the Pacers and Wizards. That's obviously 2 winnable games they should win. But then they have the Bulls, who they're still fighting out in the Eastern Conference with. Then they have the Bucks, and then they have the Grizzlies, who are the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. So it's going to be tough for them. Miami, pretty much, you know, same thing. They got a pretty tough team in the Bulls and the Raptors, who are both fighting for contention in the Eastern Conference. the Hornets, who, have been up and down this year, but really not a great team. Then they have the Hawks and the Magic. So, well, the Heat have an opportunity to be in there as well. But just pound for pound, I think the Bucks are a better team than the Heat. And I don't know, there's something about the just little scrap, the little like thing that the Heat had the other day with Jimmy Butler and Udonis Haslem that I was like, I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing for them because they've been playing and winning since then and it's been going well. Sometimes that's one of those things that motivates a team and gets them all like, once they've reconciled with each other and apologized, they get hot after that. Maybe that was something they needed. But regardless, Giannis is just too good. That team is too well-rounded all around. They've beat the snot out of the Nets, I think, at least 3 out of 4 games this year in the regular season. And I know the Nets obviously weren't at full strength and the team that we had predicted they would be at the beginning of the regular season. But to me, it's the Bucks conference to win. That's why they are the defending champions. So if I had to pick, it would be Milwaukee taking it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Milwaukee is, if you were to bet, I would put my money on Milwaukee, and I think it's the safest bet. But I mean, back to that Miami thing. I mean, this is how it is being a Warriors fan. We get in teams' heads, we get in people's heads. They start fighting, they start going at each other. It's because we're so good. So I'm not gonna give that to Miami.
Yeah, not the last 4 games. I don't know.
But all right, let's move on to this next topic, which is, can the Lakers make a push? Do you think that they can make the play-in?
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. What's going on here? Sorry, I got some tabs open, making sure I'm keeping on top of everything. No, I don't think the Lakers can. I think the Lakers are a just shell of a team. I don't think they like playing with each other. I think that LeBron's fed up. He's doing what he did his first year with the Lakers, which is, basically just an eye toward the future. He is taking care of his body. I know he's still been going out there playing most games, but he knows this is not their year. He knows they're not winning a championship. And I don't believe he's giving it all. I've seen videos of him, in transition, just kind of walking up and down the court, really not hustling, trying to get rebounds. And, it's a business move on his part. He wants to, keep his body in pristine condition. He's not going to waste it on a year where they're maybe going to make the play-in game, which is maybe making the playoffs. It's like such a small chance for them. So that, and obviously made of glass street clothes. Anthony Davis is barely playing this year. 37 games this year. He's been just, what a disappointment. And obviously Russell Westbrook has not been playing well at all. So it's just exactly what the haters said at the beginning of the season, that this was going to be like that Lakers team from 2003 or 2004, whatever it was, when they had Gary Payton and Karl Malone come in and they said, oh, they're all just a bunch of washed superstars. They're not going to mesh together. A lot of people didn't want to believe that, but that has been the case so far this year. So I don't believe the Lakers are going to be able to squeak their way into the play-in game.
Yeah. That was something that my friend, who is nervously waiting to see if they make it, because it's going to be whether he's bald or not. But he was complaining, and he's been saying it for a while, that, oh, we're not going to make the play-in tournament. We're not going to make the play-in tournament. And I was always like, nah, I think you guys are, there's kind of a big gap between 10 and 11. That's gone now. There is no gap anymore. They're 11 now, and they're losing the tiebreaker against Spurs. So at this moment, they're out. And you look back at their schedule, they lose to Dallas. That was a killing. And they lose to Utah yesterday. They're losing these games where it's, 50-50. If we lose, it's all right. It's a decent loss. But if we win, it's a good win. They're losing those games, but then they're losing the games that they need to win. They lose against Houston. They've lost against beat up Warriors team. Like, they're losing against teams.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. They're losing against teams that they need to beat. And that's where, you start looking at their losses, and I can't. When's the last time the Lakers have won a game? I mean, the last time I remember them winning was against Toronto in overtime. Yep. And that was like a big Westbrook 3 that forced the OT, because at, the moment they looked like they were going to lose again. So yeah. I think that they aren't going to make the play-in. I think that this is just a dark time to be a Lakers fan. I'd hate to be a Lakers fan. I hate to be my friend, because number one, he's a Lakers fan, and number two, he's going to be bald. So that's just 2 bad things. That's 2 bad things in a row right there.
But, yeah, no, look, the Lakers have lost 4 in a row now. Utah, Dallas, Philly, New Orleans, and really they lost 5 out of 6. They beat the Cavs, and then before that, they lost to the Wizards. Now look at the rest of their schedule. They got 6 games left, and they need to basically win out or at least 5 of 6 and get some help from the teams in front of them in the Western Conference. Here's the rest of their schedule. New Orleans, who they already lost to. The Nuggets, who are clearly far and away a much, much better team. Phoenix, do I need to say any more? The Warriors, even at not at full strength, I'm picking the Warriors in that game. The Thunder, you'd think the Lakers talent-wise should win, but it's not been the case all year long. And then they finished the season out again with Denver. So to me, look, there's just no possible way. I just don't see it happening. I think that they're going to fire Frank Vogel at the end of this year. I think that Anthony Davis is going to be gone, or I mean, Russell Westbrook will definitely be gone if they could find some dope to, dump him off to. But yeah, it's going to be a major blow up and a major time, restart, I think, for this Lakers organization at the end of this year. And I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said last podcast episode. It's just sad. I mean, it's really sad. It's like seeing someone you hate getting beat up, but at the same time, you're like, man, that guy's getting beat up. It's kind of hard
you're
to
still
watch.
a human. You're still like, I don't want to. I mean, I kind of wanted this, but now I'm seeing it, and I'm like, oh, make it stop.
It's sad. But let's move on to the better LA team of the last decade, the Los Angeles Clippers, who have just recently gotten Paul George back. I totally forgot. I did not pick the Clippers. I picked Utah when Paul George came back. Bad mistake. I should have never picked Utah. Watching them choke was just horrendous. But now that they got Paul George back, can this Clippers team make a run? I mean, they're in the play-in right now. They're going to play Minnesota as it looks. Can they beat Minnesota? Can they get in the playoffs, play Memphis? Are the Clippers going to make any noise?
I think the Clippers will make the play-in game and they will make the playoffs. I do. Getting Paul George back obviously is great. He had a great return, 37-point game. Really, though, I don't know if they're going to make noise. It all hinges on Kawhi Leonard. Is Kawhi Leonard going to be healthy from this partially torn ACL that he got surgery on last July and finally come back and play for the team? If he's not, I don't see how they're even going to win one game against Memphis in that potential series. I mean, maybe one, but I just don't see it happening. I will say this Clippers team, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Tyronn Lue, who took a lot of lumps when he was the Cleveland Cavaliers coach, has done a great job because this team has something like the most 25-point comebacks in NBA history this year, something along those lines. I mean, this team, they fight, they play hard till the end, and even without their superstar players. So I'll give them credit for that. And I think they could definitely be one of those scrappy teams in the playoffs, but it's all going to ride, like we've said before in all the other shows. Playoff basketball is all about superstar power. And if you don't have it, you're not going to go far. So Paul George coming back is great. I don't know how sustainable it is and how he still says his arm is not 100%. He called it 90% in an interview the other day. And is Kawhi Leonard going to end up coming back? And if he does, is he going to really be at like full ability and be able to play the way that we expect Kawhi Leonard to play? If those two things don't come to fruition for the Clippers, I still think they'll make the play-in game, but I think they're going to be an easy first round bounce from the playoffs if they're playing Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really does all fall on Kawhi. I think you're right about that one. But, Kawhi is just a mysterious person. Is he going to, come back? We haven't heard anything about him returning. So at this point, you would think that he's not going to play and he's not going to be here for playoffs, playing, whatever. If they even make it to the playoffs, will he be there? Mm-hmm. But I think the one thing with the Clippers, do they beat Memphis? I don't think so. But I think it's going to be an entertaining series because, like you said, they can come back from really any deficit that they're in. I mean, I saw firsthand when they came back against the Warriors that, 2019 first round playoff series, and they came back from down like 27 or something like that. That's just the team that they are. They're scrappy and they fight. That's probably why they came back against Utah. They never give up. So they're definitely going to be a team where every game's a battle, but I think that they're going to lose in 5 or 6, but every game is going to be within 10 points. I think that's the way they are. But It's just interesting because you're starting to see like Denver, they hope to get Jamal Murray back. And then you have the Clippers who get Paul George. Are they going to get Kawhi? Who knows? The Warriors with Steph. It's just interesting because come playoff time, these teams that are seeded 4th, 7th, 8th, 6th, their teams are going to be a lot different than the teams that were seeded, at that position. So there could be some upsets, I think. But it's just something to kind of think about because, I think if Kawhi Leonard does come back and he gets acclimated back into this roster, they could easily take down Memphis. This Clippers team is no joke, but it's just a question of if they come back.
Right.
That's just the biggest
power is
thing.
there. And playoff basketball usually slows down a little bit. It's a lot more, in my opinion, half court basketball, not as much transition and just, running up and down, hucking up threes. So how well can this team adjust to that? They shoot 37% from three as a team. So is that something that, is going to carry over into the playoffs? And if that's not something that is really happening in a game or in a series against, say, the Grizzlies, are they going to be able to find other ways to win? And so, again, that's why I think having those two superstars that can just have the ball sometimes in isolation, create their own shot. If they don't have that, who's the next guy up that's going to be doing it for them? So for me, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't say the Clippers are going to go very far, but that could all change if Kawhi Leonard comes back and he shows that he's ready to play at that, level that we're used to seeing him at.
Yeah. I think 100%. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Phoenix, it's going to be Memphis, it's going to be the Warriors, but there are going to be those teams like Dallas, Utah, Denver, Minnesota, the Clippers, where they're going to put up a good fight and they're just going to be annoying game in and game out to defeat. And I think, the Clippers getting Paul George back, that definitely is going to help them get better and, make any team fight for their wins for that series. So it was just something to think about. I was trying to find a topic and I thought Paul George coming back is going to be really interesting for this Clippers team for sure going into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up here. A little shorter episode, but there isn't that much news to talk about. Unfortunately, we're kind of in that drought between there's news to talk about almost every week to next week we have the playoffs, and that's going to be really big news. So we're kind of in that little drought, but stick with us, stay patient, because when the playoffs start and my Warriors start winning games, that's when it's going to go down for everyone.
I can make one prediction about the playoffs, and that's that we're not going to see any blue and orange. The Knicks officially eliminated yesterday. Oh, my God. Another disastrous year for us. So it goes every time.
I can't even I just want to sit here and just watch you get upset because there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I could say because every year it's just the Knicks are out again. Man.
Oh no, bro. We are resolved as Knicks fans. We are resolved to the idea that we weren't making playoffs. Probably 3 months ago, right? Like probably right around the whole Randall thumbs down thing. We were like, okay, yeah, no, we're done with this year. Like we have all known this was coming for a while, and now we're all like, okay, Randall, we just cannot wait to get rid of him during the offseason. Like we don't even give us a bag of basketballs back. Give us one of those shooting passer things, like that's, we don't even care. Just whatever, take him off our hands. We'll even pay his contract. Just get him out of here. He's a cancer to this team right now, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. All right. We'll end it here. Check out the NBA picks that are going up today, tomorrow, every single day we go. Matt's been kicking my butt, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back big time. I'm coming back 5 days in a row. I've either tied or beaten Matt. So just believe, believe news. Team Warriors. We're going to come back. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.
Peace.
Thank you for watching this episode of the East Coast West Coast podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our social medias down below.